Before he ever made the Empress blush, he feared her. Everyone did. Her name was Vioria Then, sovereign of the Celestine Dominion, ruler of 9 stellar crowns, commander of fleets that could darken entire suns. Civilizations shifted their policies before she even spoke. Trade routes bent around her will. Wars ended when her warships entered orbit. And today, a single human was ordered to stand in front of her. Kashanod did not feel brave. He felt very, very small. The imperial court was not on a planet. It floated in space. The structure was called the Etherian Spire, a massive orbital construct that circled Lasara Prime. It was not built like human stations. It was grown. Living crystal walls shimmered with faint light. The floor beneath his boots reflected distant stars like black glass. The throne chamber had no ceiling. Only transparent shields that opened to the endless dark. Stars burned in every direction. And at the far end of the chamber stood her. She was nearly 7 feet tall. Slender. Perfect posture. Her skin shimmered faint blue and violet. Her silver eyes looked metallic, like polished moons. Above her head floated a crown made of contained plasma, a ring of living light that moved slowly like controlled fire. She did not sit. She did not need to. "You are the human envoy," she said. Her voice carried layers of tone, like several notes played at once. "Yes, Empress," Kashan replied, forcing his voice steady. "You are smaller than expected." "Most humans are," he said honestly. A faint ripple moved through the alien advisors behind her. The Empress studied him. "In my court, humans are described as emotional, unstable, and fragile." "That is not completely wrong," he admitted. Silence. Her crown flickered once. "Honesty," she said. "Unusual. I prefer efficiency." A pause. Then she said, "You will remain." That was how it began. 12 years earlier. The Dominion had discovered humanity 12 years ago. A survey vessel detected quantum signals leaking from Earth. The Dominion did not invade. They observed. They studied. Humanity was evaluated. And surprisingly, not conquered. Instead, Earth was offered provisional alliance status. One condition: cultural integration. Kashanod was chosen as the permanent human envoy. He had studied alien cognition and language systems. He understood symbolism and emotion mapping. But none of his training prepared him for standing under the gaze of the most powerful being in the galaxy. For weeks, he only spoke when asked. He explained birthdays. He explained music. He explained why humans cry at fictional stories. The Empress asked questions with precision. Why do humans celebrate aging? Why do you create stories about tragedy when you live in relative safety? Why does your species hide vulnerability? He answered carefully. "Because being vulnerable used to mean danger," he said once. "But we still need connection." She absorbed everything. She did not laugh often. But sometimes her crown dimmed slightly when he told her a joke. That was the Dominion equivalent of amusement. Slowly, he noticed something others did not. When they were alone, her posture softened. Her fingers moved when she was uncertain. Her silver eyes held something behind the authority. The galaxy saw an empress. He began to see a person. The night of the nebula. It happened months later. The spire drifted along the edge of a stellar nursery. Pink and gold clouds glowed beyond the transparent walls. The throne chamber lights were dim. The Empress dismissed her advisors early. "You requested privacy," she said. "Yes, Empress." Kashan had prepared a formal cultural report. He forgot it entirely. The nebula light washed over her skin. The plasma crown glowed like sunrise. She looked unreal. "You wish to speak," she said. He swallowed. "You look breathtaking tonight." Silence. The kind of silence that could break planets. Her crown flickered wildly. Light pulsed brighter, then dimmed. "I am aware of my physical structure," she said carefully. "That's not what I meant." "Clarify." It wasn't analysis. It was admiration. The word hung between them. No one admired the Empress. They feared her. They obeyed her. But admiration. Her silver eyes widened slightly. Then something impossible happened. She looked away. A faint shimmer of soft color spread across her cheeks, a delicate glow like rose light beneath crystal skin. The Empress of the Celestine Dominion blushed. "I do not require flattery," she said, voice quieter. "It wasn't flattery." "You are certain?" "Yes." Her crown dimmed to a soft glow. "You should exercise caution," Cashin nodded. "I probably should." But he did not take it back. Whispers in the court. The change did not go unnoticed. The Empress summoned him more often. Policies shifted. Instead of immediate domination, she began proposing gradual integration. Instead of forced restructuring, she requested cooperative development. Not weakness. Evolution. High Chancellor Veric did not approve. He cornered Cashin in a corridor lined with glowing vines. "You influence her," Veric said coldly. "She makes her own decisions. You destabilize centuries of doctrine. I offer perspective. You forget your place." "I remember it clearly," Cashin replied. Veric's eyes narrowed. "Be careful, human." The summit. The breaking point came during a council summit. A newly annexed system resisted Dominion authority. Standard protocol required swift restructuring. The council expected immediate enforcement. Instead, the Empress said, "There are alternative pathways." Murmurs filled the chamber. "Leniency invites weakness," Veric said sharply. "Our authority is not fragile," she replied. "It is when guided by sentiment." The room froze. The implication was clear. The human. Her gaze flicked toward Cashin. "Do you question my judgment?" she asked. "I question external influence," Veric answered. Her crown flared bright enough to cast shadows across the chamber. "My judgment," she said coldly, "requires no validation." The summit ended abruptly. The accusation. Later, she summoned him privately. "You are becoming a liability," she said. "I didn't speak. You did not need to." She stood near the transparent wall, staring at distant stars. "They believe you weaken me." "Do I?" Silence. "When you called me breathtaking," she said slowly, "I experienced destabilization." "That sounds serious." "It was unfamiliar." "Unfamiliar isn't dangerous." "In my position, it often is." He stepped closer. "You rule the stars. Surely you can survive a compliment." A faint shift in her tone, almost amusement. "It is not the compliment," she said. "It is what it represents." "And what is that?" "You see me." He did not interrupt. "You do not see a symbol," she continued. "Not a force. You see something else. A person." She exhaled slowly. "Sovereigns are not persons. We are functions." "That's convenient," he said softly. Her silver eyes flashed. "You presume much." "I observe." She stepped closer. "If I am seen as merely a woman," she said quietly, "I become vulnerable. Or real. I'm not human." "No," he said. "But you are not just an empire either." Her fingers flexed. "You destabilize me, Cashin." "I don't mean to." "I know." Silence filled the chamber. Then she asked, almost reluctantly, "When you look at me, what do you see?" He did not look away. "I see someone carrying too much alone." Her crown dimmed to the softest glow he had ever seen. The Emergency Council. Veric moved quickly. An emergency vote was called. Proposal: restrict the humans' access to the Empress. Arguments filled the chamber. When it was Cashin's turn, he stepped forward. "I am not here to control your ruler," he said calmly. "I am here because she asked questions. Because she wanted understanding." "You encourage deviation," Veric snapped. "I encourage growth." Veric turned to her. "Will you allow this human to redefine centuries of doctrine?" Silence. Then the Empress rose. "For centuries," she said, "I have ruled without attachment. Without vulnerability." Her silver gaze found Cashin. "I have been feared. Obeyed. Respected. A pause. Never admired. The chamber murmured. When he spoke, she continued, I felt exposed. Not diminished. Seen. She faced the council. If such perception weakens me, then our empire is already fragile. Varric stiffened. You would risk stability for sentiment. I would risk stagnation for evolution. The vote failed. Cashen remained. Beyond the crown. That night, she summoned him again. No advisors. No council. Only stars. She stepped down from the elevated platform, something she rarely did. Then, slowly, she removed the plasma crown. It hovered beside her, dim and quiet. In this moment, she said softly, I am not Empress. Then who are you? Vioria. He had never heard her speak her own name that way. You're still breathtaking, he said gently. This time, she did not look away. The blush came faster. And she did not hide it. New orbit. The Dominion did not collapse. It adapted. Policies evolved. Alliances strengthened. The Empress remained powerful. Fleets still moved at her command. But something had changed. She no longer ruled from isolation. One evening, they watched a distant supernova bloom like silent fire. You once feared me, she said. I still do, he admitted. Why? Because you trust me with who you are beneath the crown. She considered that. Trust is rare. So is honesty. She looked at him. You continue to find me breathtaking. Every time. Her silver eyes softened. I rule galaxies, she said quietly. Yet it is your simple words that unsettle me. Good. Unsettle. Yes. She stepped closer. I once believed power required distance, she said. Now I understand it requires connection. Are you sorry? For letting myself be seen? He nodded. She moved close enough that he could see faint constellations reflected in her eyes. No, she said. Then, with the smallest smile, I am grateful. The human who changed nothing, and everything. She still ruled the stars. Systems still bowed. Warships still answered her call. But sometimes, when the galaxy quieted and the crown dimmed, she would glance at him with that same shy light in her eyes. In those moments, the most powerful being in the known universe was not a distant empress. She was simply Vioria. And every time he told her she was breathtaking, she believed him. The first time Cashen thought he would die for her, it was not romantic. It was loud, violent, and very real. The warning. The message arrived during a quiet rotation cycle. The Etherian spire drifted in calm orbit above Lasara Prime. Trade fleets moved in organized patterns. Dominion space looked peaceful. Too peaceful. Cashen was reviewing integration reports when the chamber lights flickered. Then the plasma crown above Vioria's head flared bright red. Every advisor froze. That color meant one thing. Threat. An encrypted alert unfolded in the air between them. Unknown fleet signatures. Emerging from dark space. No transponder codes. No diplomatic signal. Attack formation. They bypassed perimeter sensors, an officer said. That is impossible, another whispered. Vioria did not whisper. Nothing is impossible, she said calmly. Her voice did not rise. But the air changed. The Empress stepped forward. Silver eyes sharp. Location. Outer Defense Ring. 47 warships. Unknown origin. Intent. They are charging weapons. Cashen felt his heartbeat pound in his ears. Not pirates. Not rebels. This was organized. This was planned. Varric stepped forward quickly. This is what hesitation invites, he said. Your reforms have signaled weakness. Vioria did not even look at him. Mobilize the first and third fleets, she ordered. Raise planetary shields. And prepare counterstrike formations. The chamber moved into action instantly. But then, another alert. Internal breach detected. Inside the spire. The betrayal. Cashen felt the shift before anyone spoke. Internal breach meant sabotage. It meant someone inside helped them. The chamber doors sealed automatically. Security fields activated. Source. Vioria demanded. Lower command tier. Reactor access corridors. Veric turned pale. That level requires council authorization. Silence. Slowly, very slowly, Vioria's silver eyes moved across her advisors. Someone in this room had betrayed her. Cashin felt cold. The Empress stood still. Then she said something unexpected. Cashin. With me. Veric stiffened. This is a military emergency. The human should remain. He will remain at my side, she said sharply. No one argued again. Into the spire. They moved through dim corridors as alarms pulsed red light. The spire no longer felt peaceful. It felt hunted. Security drones hovered past. In the distance, the low vibration of distant weapons fire echoed through the structure. They are attempting to destabilize the core, Vioria said calmly as they walked. If the spire falls, Dominion command collapses. That's the goal, Cashin said. Yes. You think someone inside opened a window? I know they did. They turned a corner and walked into chaos. 2 Dominion guards lay on the ground, armor cracked. A blast door had been forced open. Inside, 3 armored figures worked at a control panel. Not Dominion soldiers. Different armor. Dark. Angular. Insignia scratched away. Assassins. The nearest one turned. Weapon raised. Time slowed. Cashin did not think. He moved. He grabbed Vioria and pulled her sideways as energy fire exploded against the wall where she had stood. The blast wave hit him hard. He slammed into the floor. Pain burned across his shoulder. Dominion guards returned fire. The corridor filled with light and smoke. One assassin fell. Another lunged forward with a blade charged in red energy, heading straight for the Empress. Cashin pushed himself up. He stepped in front of her. No weapon. No armor. Just a human body. The blade struck. But not deep. Vioria moved faster than sight. Her hand caught the attacker's wrist. Her silver eyes burned white. The plasma crown above her head flared into blinding brilliance. The assassin screamed as energy surged through him. Then silence. The remaining attackers were eliminated within seconds. The corridor fell quiet except for alarms. Cashin swayed. Vioria turned to him instantly. You are injured. I've had worse, he muttered. That was not true. His arm trembled. Blood darkened his sleeve. She stepped closer. Too close. You stepped between me and a weapon, she said softly. Yes. Why? He blinked at her. Because that's what we do. Explain. Humans. Her silver eyes searched his face. You would sacrifice yourself for me. He gave a weak smile. You rule the galaxy. Someone should probably keep you alive. For a moment. Her crown flickered irregularly. Not battle mode. Not command mode. Something else. The truth unfolds. Security teams secured the spire. The sabotage attempt was contained. Outside, Dominion fleets engaged the unknown attackers. Inside, investigators discovered the truth. Encrypted communications. Hidden authorization codes. High Chancellor Veric's clearance signature. The chamber fell silent when the evidence was revealed. Veric stood motionless. This is fabricated, he said coldly. Vioria stepped forward. Your codes opened the defense grid. You have allowed corruption into this empire. Veric snapped. Your attachment to the human has destabilized everything. You allied with external forces, she said. I preserved purity. You betrayed your empire. I protected it from weakness. Her silver eyes hardened. Compassion is not weakness. Sentiment is rot. No, she said quietly. Isolation is. The chamber trembled as distant explosions echoed from space. The battle was still raging. Veric's voice lowered. You have changed, Vioria. Yes, she said. And that terrifies you? For the first time. Varric had no reply. He was removed from command. Arrested under Dominion law. The traitor had been close. Closer than anyone realized. The war outside. The external fleet was not random. They belonged to a coalition of smaller systems once conquered by the Dominion decades ago. They believed the Empress was weakening. They believed this was their moment. They were wrong. Vioria stood in the command chamber overlooking space. Dominion warships formed defensive arcs. Enemy ships advanced in aggressive formation. Cashan stood beside her, arm bandaged. "You should be resting," she said. "I prefer standing. You nearly died. You nearly got stabbed." Her eyes flicked toward him. "You continue to show reckless courage." "It's not reckless. It is statistically unsound." He smiled faintly. "That's humanity." Outside, energy beams lit the darkness. Ships exploded in silent flashes. Dominion fleets moved with terrifying precision. But the enemy had numbers. They expected hesitation, Vioria said. They expected doubt. And she looked at him. They miscalculated. She lifted her hand. And the plasma crown ignited in full radiance. "Deploy solar lance formation," she commanded. Dominion ships shifted instantly. A unified beam of concentrated stellar energy surged forward. It cut through enemy lines like light through glass. 3 hostile ships disintegrated. The rest faltered. Within minutes, the attackers began retreat. Within an hour, the battle was over. Dominion space remained intact. Aftermath. Silence returned slowly. Damaged ships drifted. Rescue vessels moved. The spire's lights stabilized. Cashan stood beside her at the viewport. "You were magnificent," he said quietly. Her crown dimmed. "You stepped into a weapon without calculation. You command stars without fear." She turned slightly toward him. "Fear exists," she said softly. "It is managed. And when I was attacked..." Her voice lowered. "It was not managed." He understood. "You were afraid." "Yes. For the Empire." Her silver gaze locked onto his. "For you." The words felt heavier than any fleet. He swallowed. "That's new." "Yes." "Does it destabilize you?" She paused. "No. Why?" "Because now I understand it." "And what is it?" "Connection," she said. "The decision." Days later, the council reconvened. Without Varric. Without the old guard dominance. Vioria stood before them. "The Dominion has survived external threat and internal betrayal," she said. "Our strength remains." She paused. "But strength without evolution becomes brittle." No one interrupted. "From this cycle forward," she continued, "Dominion integration policy will permanently shift to cooperative alliance first." Murmurs. Not outrage. Consideration. "We will remain powerful," she said. "But we will not rule through fear alone." Her silver gaze scanned the chamber. Empires fall when they cannot adapt. No one challenged her. The vote passed. Reform became doctrine. The quiet moment. That night, she removed the crown again. Just Vioria. Not Empress. They stood alone beneath distant stars. "You nearly died," she said softly. "So did you. I am replaceable by succession." He shook his head. "Not really." Her expression shifted. "Explain." "You're not just a ruler. You are the Dominion." "That's the point," he said gently. "You don't have to be alone in it." She studied him carefully. "Humans are fragile." "Yes." "You bleed easily." "Yes." "You fear death." "Yes." "And yet you stand before weapons." "Yes." "Why?" He met her gaze. "Because connection matters more." Her crown, hovering nearby, pulsed faint gold. "That," she said quietly, "is what makes your species dangerous." "Dangerous?" "To tyrants." He smiled. "Good." She stepped closer. Close enough that the stars reflected in both their eyes. You once feared me, she said. I still respect you. And fear. Only when you look at me like that. Like what? Like I matter. She was silent for a long moment. You do, she said finally. No dramatic music. No explosion. Just truth. A new balance. In the cycles that followed, the Dominion stabilized. Rebel systems reconsidered rebellion. Allied worlds strengthened bonds. Humanity's position in the galaxy shifted from curiosity to respected partner. And at the center of it all, an empress who ruled with power and allowed herself to be seen. One evening, as a new star ignited in a distant cluster, Vioria spoke quietly. When you first arrived, I saw you as a variable. Fair. Now I see you as constant. That sounds important. It is. He smiled. You're breathtaking, you know. This time. She did not blush immediately. Instead, she stepped closer. And you, she said softly, are brave beyond logic. The crown glowed warm. Not as weapon. Not as authority. But as something alive. The galaxy had tried to break her. It failed. Because this time, she did not stand alone.